You're listening to the Wrestle Havoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the Wrestle Havoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, right here on the Wrestle Havoc Podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from January 18th, 2022. As the thumbnail stated, it was a great night of in-ring action. Of course, we had Bryan Danielson versus Bandido. We had Top Flight versus the Young Bucks in a great match, and it ended in shocking fashion. We also had Darby Allin defend the TNT Championship against Kushida in a great main event overall. Personally, I would have much rather had Bryan Danielson face Kushida in the main event, but that is fine with me. I mean, honestly, those three matches in particular on this show were absolutely fantastic. But yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. Before I get on with this Dynamite review, again, I talked about this right at the top of my Raw review, but my thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Jay Briscoe. Of course, Jay unfortunately passed away this past Tuesday, I believe it was. And my thoughts and prayers go out to his family, especially Mark Briscoe. This must be a very tough time, and the wrestling world definitely lost a great human being in the form of Jay Briscoe. And my thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and we'll miss you, Jay. But speaking of Jay Briscoe, this wasn't really necessarily a tribute show to Jay Briscoe. Now, there is a reason behind it. Now, the story is that apparently, Warner Brothers Discovery did not want AEW to have like a major tribute show over Jay Briscoe, which I think if that is the case, I think it's absolutely stupid for them, to tell AEW not to do, in my opinion. I think it's a dumb decision by Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, we all knew that, the Briscoe brothers were not really well liked via Warner Brothers Discovery, or at the time Warner Media. It was even stated, last year that Warner Brothers Discovery does not want anything to do with the Briscoes, or did not want AEW to bring in the Briscoes for AEW over quote-unquote homophobic comments that they stated 10 plus years ago. And this was a situation in which the Briscoes apologized, especially Jay apologized numerous times, and he definitely improved himself as a person. So the fact that we have Warner Brothers Discovery telling AEW, if this is true, if we had Warner Brothers Discovery telling AEW not to do a tribute show on Dynamite for Jay Briscoe, I think it's a damn shame, and it's absolutely stupid for Warner Brothers Discovery to do. Keep in mind, this is the same company that is allowing Power Slap to still air on TBS directly after Dynamite, even weeks after Dana White slapped his wife. Goes to show you the company that Warner Brothers Discovery is. So I think it's absolutely stupid for Warner Brothers Discovery to not allow AEW to, have a full-on tribute show on Dynamite. Now, speaking of a tribute show, they did film a Ring of Honor Jay Briscoe tribute special right after the Rampage tapings. I think it was an hour-long show. They basically revamped everything to Ring of Honor. They branded everything Ring of Honor, and they filmed a whole Jay Briscoe tribute, and I believe it will be available on the Honor Club service and also available on YouTube for free. So that is going to be something that I will be checking out because, again, the Briscoe brothers was not really a tag team that I wasn't really familiar with, but it was, they were a tag team that I always knew about, but never really, got the chance to watch until last year. And their work last year, where it was, their trilogy with FTR will go down as probably one of the best tag team feuds in pro wrestling history. And I am not even exaggerating with that statement. The feud that they had last year and the trilogy of matches that they had was absolutely amazing. By far, their best match was the match that they had at Final Battle, of course. I'm talking about the dog collar match. The story itself was just absolutely amazing. And it sucks that we unfortunately lost Jay Briscoe. Again, my thoughts and prayers go out to his family. I actually had the privilege to watch the Briscoes live at GCW a couple of months ago. I believe it was Homecoming in Atlantic City, because I am from New Jersey, and I got to watch the Briscoes live, and I posted on my Instagram a video of Jay doing the Dre Driller, and then you heard somebody in the back was screaming, "Hit him with it again, Jay! Jay Driller!" And then as soon as he hit the move, you can hear me screaming at the top of my lungs. Jay Briscoe was a fantastic wrestler, and he will definitely be missed. Again, thoughts and prayers go out to his family. You know, this must be a very, very tough time. Also, it is also Mark Briscoe's birthday, which is even worse about the whole situation. You know, happy birthday to Mark. You know, he must be feeling very, very terrible right now after, you know, the news that broke 2 days ago. So my thoughts and prayers once again go out to Jay Briscoe's family. This is an absolutely shocking and unexpected and absolutely terrible loss. As I've stated in the Raw review, he was not only a great wrestler, he was a great husband, but he was a great man. And always tell your loved ones that you love them, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And I stated that on the Raw review, but it's a message that I want to be clear of, because again, life is only a temporary thing. We're not going to be in this earth forever. Situations like this can happen to any of us. This could literally be my last video. We do not know. You know, life is short, and we need to cherish the time that we have to have on this earth. And Jay was definitely somebody that cherished life so well. He loved his family, he loved his wife, he loved his kids, and he loved his brother. And unfortunately, we lost Jay. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Jay, and Jay, we'll miss you, and we love you. All right, let's get on to the Dynamite review. Before we get on with all this craziness that happened on AEW Dynamite, make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Wrestle Havoc podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the Wrestle Havoc podcast in audio format and listen to yours truly, Flamin' Rick, in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. The Raw review is up on YouTube, so go check that out. Also, episode 3 of the podcast has been out for a couple of days. I talk about, of course, Vince McMahon and the entire fiasco that is going on in World Wrestling Entertainment at the moment right now, with a possible sale of WWE as well. The audio format for the Raw review is not up yet, so I will be uploading that as soon as possible. And hopefully right after I upload this Dynamite review, I will also upload the audio form of this review as well. So be on the lookout for the audio reviews as well. But yeah, man, let's get into Dynamite. Dynamite started off with Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal for the All Elite Wrestling All Atlantic Championship. Yeah, so the story of this match, so these guys have been feuding for a while. A lot of people are not really that big of a fan of Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal. Personally, I'm not really the biggest Sanjay Dutt fan. He was great as a wrestler, but like as a promo, like sometimes he's kind of cringe, but that's not personal. Jeff Jarrett, I've always been a Jeff Jarrett fan. Yes, I'll admit it. JFFJRRETT. I've always been a fan of Jeff Jarrett, even when he was the NWA champion in TNA. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. The real Reign of Terror. Shout out to Marky D. He's great. But, yeah, the whole Jeff Jarrett stuff with Jay Lethal, I don't want to say it's kind of grown on me. I mean, if you don't like it, I totally understand, and I wouldn't get upset with you. But, I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's not like they're going to, like, win the world championship or something. But it's there. And you know what? Jeff Jarrett is a great heat magnet. Like, this guy knows how to generate heat unlike all others. Like, this man knows how to generate heat, and that's why Jeff Jarrett is so good at what he does. Say what you want. Yeah, he didn't draw dimes, but hey, he knows how to draw heat. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what's important whenever you're a wrestler, right? But whatever. So the story of this match is Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh are banned from ringside because usually they tend to interfere in matches of Jay Lethal's or whatever. Whenever Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett are tagging, they tend to interfere, that being Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt. So they're banned from ringside, and if they interfere in the match, they will get fired on the spot. So what happens is, before the match even starts, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh are coming down the stairs of the arena, and it looks like they have tickets. They are sitting front row. Orange Cassidy, the match starts, and he immediately goes for the orange punch. Lethal tries to go for the figure four, but then we get a roll-up by Cassidy. We get a near fall. Great technical wrestling by both, and great maneuvers back and forth. We get a roll-up by Cassidy and a near fall, followed by a backslide and a near fall. Lethal goes for the right hand. Danhausen interferes, and he comes in the front row. He comes in as quote-unquote security, which is absolutely funny. He asks for a ticket, and Sanjay Dutt shows his ticket. After that, the best friends are in the front row as well, so they come in. So basically, there's a lot of comedy stuff going on at this point. Great stuff overall. Cassidy, Jay Lethal is on the outside, and Cassidy immediately goes for the suicide dive. We go for a tornado DDT attempt by Orange Cassidy, but Lethal counters that. We get repeated rights by Lethal, but then Lethal is in control over Orange Cassidy. Danhausen comes to ringside, I should say. Lethal is on the apron, but then Lethal sends Cassidy onto the apron spine first, and then he sends Cassidy onto the ring post head first. At this point, Lethal is in the ring, and he does his typical strut, kind of like, of course, like Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett always does that shit. We get a snap suplex by Lethal. We get a cover and a near fall. Lethal then goes for a knee, followed by a slam. At this point, Jay Lethal goes to the top turnbuckle after that, but he goes back down. And this was actually one of the funniest parts of the entire match. So every time Jay Lethal went up, so for example, the first time Jay Lethal went up, Orange Cassidy is down, and he rolls himself out of harm's way. So what happens is Jay Lethal goes to the other corner, and Cassidy does the same thing. Lethal keeps going to the other corner, keeps going to the top, but then once again, Cassidy escapes. So then after that, Lethal kind of gets a head start, but then what happens is he drops down, and he lands on a boot by Cassidy. Cassidy then repeatedly sends Lethal headfirst onto the turnbuckle. After that, Cassidy goes to the top, but then we get a crossbody off the top by Cassidy. Cassidy then counters a suplex into the Stunt Dog Millionaire. That's always a great move. He follows up with a Tornado DDT. We get a cover and a near fall. After that, Cassidy goes to the top, but then he gets caught by Lethal and hits the Lethal Combination. Then Lethal misses the Lethal Injection attempt, but then Lethal catches Cassidy for the Orange Punch. After that, Lethal lands the Lethal Injection, but what happens after Lethal lands the Lethal Injection is it looks like Lethal's about to go for the cover, but Cassidy rolls out because it's Orange Cassidy being Orange Cassidy. This man is absolutely entertaining. You love to see it. So after that, Cassidy rolls out. Best friends, but continue to bother Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. After that, Jeff gives the guitar to Lethal. He secretly, in a way, gives the guitar to Jay Lethal, but Danhausen takes it. We get a roll-up by Cassidy back in the ring, and we get a near fall. Cassidy manages to hit the Orange Punch. We get a cover. 1, 2, 3, and Orange Cassidy retains the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Overall thoughts on this match. Great match overall. Not a bad match whatsoever. Some people were not really that big of a fan of Dynamite really starting off in a comedic manner. But overall, I definitely enjoyed this match. Great match overall. Let's be honest, after, the whole Jay Briscoe news that broke the day before, I don't really think a lot of people were in the right mindset. I personally, as soon as Dynamite started, I wasn't really in the right mindset because of, the whole Jay Briscoe passing, but this match kind of, cheered me up a little bit. It was a fun match for what it was. If you didn't like it, I understood, but overall, not a bad match whatsoever. Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal are definitely capable of having a very good match. After the match, Satnam Singh comes in, and it looks like he's about to chokeslam the Best Friends, but then Sanjay Dutt, my apologies, blocks him because, of course, he does not want to get fired. And then Jeff Jarrett is about to hit him with the guitar, but then Sanjay Dutt once again blocks, this being Jeff Jarrett. He blocks Jeff Jarrett. After that, Cassidy does his amazing, and I mean amazing, kicks on Sanjay Dutt, and then, of course, all of the heels retreat. So that is that. Where will Orange Cassidy go with the All Atlantic Championship? Honestly, I do not know. I think we should really start to talk about who should Orange Cassidy drop that belt to. A lot of people are saying Konosuke Takeshita should be, All Atlantic champion. Put the fucking belt on this guy, man. Now, should he beat Orange Cassidy? I do not know. Now, speaking of Takeshita, we'll talk about him later on, but it looks like he's going to be in cahoots with Don Callis in the near future because they have been teasing that for the past couple of weeks. I believe they did film a video package. AEW filmed a video package backstage at the PWG Battle of Los Angeles show. So we're going to be, I'm definitely going to be curious to see what they're going to be doing with Takeshita, but I think we should start talking about who should Orange Cassidy drop that All Atlantic Championship to at this point. We get a video package of Darby Allin versus Kushida. Of course, that's going to be later on in the show in the main event for the TNT Championship. And they actually aired a video package to talk about who Kushida is. AEW does this sometimes. Sometimes they don't do it, and they get criticized, and rightfully so. A lot of people tend to say, oh, Google it, but at the same time, it's AEW's job because I'm the consumer. I'm the viewer. Hey, who is this guy now? I know who Kushida is anyway because he was in NXT a couple of years ago. I already knew who he was, but for the viewer that doesn't know who Kushida is, it's great that they had this video package. Look, simple things. A lot of people tend to say Google it, and I understand that point of view. I could understand it, but at the same time, it's not really a bad idea to have a video package considering the fact that, again, the viewer is watching, and if they want to get invested in somebody, you have to let them know who this guy is. That's my opinion. If you disagree with me, fine, whatever, but that's just my opinion. We got another banger after this match. We had Top Flight. Top Flight has been on a roll. They have been wrestling the likes of Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli, I believe, on episodes of Rampage. Great matches that they be having with the Blackpool Combat Club members, man. Great matches. If you guys haven't checked out those matches, fucking check them out. Top Flight, of course, Darius Martin and Dante Martin have definitely been on a roll lately, and in my opinion, Top Flight is not capable of having a bad match. These guys deliver, as Sheamus would say on SmackDown every Friday night, banger after banger after banger. And that's what exactly this match was, and the finish of the match was actually very shocking. It was very shocking because of the fact that Top Flight actually got the win in the match. Yes, they did get the win in the match. I thought the Young Bucks were actually going to win this match, but it's very weird that the Young Bucks lost a week after they won those trios titles. But, I mean, again, it's the tag team, the Young Bucks. It's not the entire elite, so would it really matter? Not really. But if you think about it, it's a great thing because, of course, the Young Bucks were the ones that brought up Top Flight into AEW. And it's great that they put Top Flight over. A lot of people tend to criticize the Young Bucks saying, oh my God, they always put themselves over. And like they always say, people tend to say that type of shit. But I'm like, if you watch the beginning months, the first year, 2019 of AEW, the Young Bucks started off losing constantly. Like these people were like, dude, they've been putting tag teams over left and right. They are putting Top Flight over, and overall, in my opinion, that is the right thing to do. But overall, this match was absolutely insane. Now, my notes are going to be a little bit off, considering the fact that, of course, this is a high spots match. This is a high-flying match, adrenaline rush match. As Mike Tenay would say back in the TNA days, your 60-minute adrenaline rush is next. But this was definitely an adrenaline rush, man. You had Dante Martin do crazy shit. You had Darius Martin do crazy shit. Of course, Matt and Nick. I mean, they made a name for themselves all doing this crazy shit. So, overall, man, great match. Couple of notes on the match. We had a high roundhouse kick by Dante on Nick Jackson. Matt then tags in. Matt then pushes Dante, but then Darius tags in. We get a bulldog combination by Top Flight. We get a double team by both Martin brothers. After that, we get a senton over the top rope by Dante. Darius then gets hit on the knee by both Matt and Nick. Then they catapult. We get a catapult. So basically, Darius gets catapulted by Matt Jackson. After that, Nick follows up by a backstabber on Dante. Once we're back from commercial break, Dante lands on his feet with a 450 and tries to tag Darius, but Nick pulls Darius to the outside. That was actually a pretty dope little spot right there. We get a bulldog dropkick combination by the Bucks. Nick then goes to the top, but then the Bucks go for the risky business. After that, we get a cover into near fall. Matt then tags in, but then we get a hip toss by the Bucks, but Dante counters with a double arm drag. After that, Dante goes for the head scissors. Darius then tags in. We get repeated rights by Dante on Matt Jackson, followed by a lariat. Then he goes for the lariat on Nick, followed by a standing Spanish fly. You guys know how I love the Spanish fly. Followed by a suicide dive on Nick Jackson. He goes to the top, and he proceeds to hit the crossbody. We get a cover into near fall. We get a couple of right hands by Darius Martin. He proceeds to pick up Matt Jackson. After that, Matt lands on his feet, but then Nick tags in. We get a super kick on Darius Martin. After that, Dante misses the springboard shot, but then we get a backslide into the Meltzer driver. So it looked like at this point the Bucks were going to go for the Meltzer driver, but Dante sweeps the legs of Nick Jackson, followed by a flatliner by Darius Martin. Dante then goes for a moonsault on the outside, followed by a powerbomb nosedive by both members of Top Flight on Matt Jackson, which looked sick. We get a cover into near fall by Nick Jackson. At this point, Nick is on the apron, but then Nick tags out Darius. We get a moonsault on Dante, but then Nick Jackson goes for the all-famous, shout-out to Petey Williams, Canadian Destroyer. We get a cover into near fall. And then what happens after this, and this was a great moment in the match, of course, paying tribute to Jay Briscoe. Both Bucks, a lot of wrestlers were wearing, of course, the armband stating Jay. Of course, paying tribute to Jay Briscoe. And what happened was Matt kisses the armband, which is a great touch, but then the Bucks go to the top rope and they manage to hit the Doomsday Device, which is the move by the Briscoe brothers, which was great to see. So they hit the Doomsday Device. We get a cover by Matt into near fall when Nick makes the save. My apologies. Nick and Matt are on the outside. We get a springboard by Darius landing into a super kick by both of the Young Bucks. They're back in the ring, but then the Bucks try to go for the BTE trigger, but missed. But then we get a roll-up by Darius, and Top Flight gets the win. And Top Flight beats the newly crowned AEW two-thirds of the AEW Trios champions, the Young Bucks. Overall thoughts on this match? Great match. I definitely enjoyed this match. I mean, every time you put the Young Bucks in any particular match, dude, sign me the fuck up. I love that style. I know a lot of people tend to not like the modern style of professional wrestling, thinking it's all gymnastics and shit. Hey, that's your opinion. I fucking enjoy it because it's awesome. The Young Bucks are great at what they are. Top Flight, man. Top Flight, I wouldn't be surprised, man, but, Top Flight should definitely be in the discussions, man. Like, they should really get a huge push later in the year because Top Flight are that damn good at what they do. And it was great to see the Young Bucks put over the Top Flight. So, great match overall. Shocking upset win. Of course, Top Flight gets the win over the Young Bucks. So it looked like we were gonna hear from the Acclaimed, but what happened instead is the Gun Club come out. Yes, the Ass Boys, Austin and Colton Gunn. They call themselves the best tag team in the world. And last week, the Acclaimed embarrassed themselves on national TV. They talk about how they made the Acclaimed popular, and they made the Acclaimed champions. And they even gave them their dad. After that, they talk about how this will be the last time that they ever embarrass them. And then the Acclaimed come out. And usually when the Acclaimed come out, Max Caster always does his rap. But instead, Austin Gunn just completely goes on a tirade as soon as Max Caster is about to start his rap. Austin, of course, gets pissed. And what happens? Caster and Bowens tend to shut the mic off. And after that, what happens is Max manages to do his rap. And then they manage to brawl after that. So what happens is Billy Gunn comes in. Billy Gunn comes in and then he interferes. And he basically pulls back, I believe, one of the guns. And I believe he also pulls back Anthony Bowen. So it looks like they're doing some tension within Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed here. But what happens is next week, Billy Gunn gets the microphone and says, next week, they're going to sit down and hash things out. And he says, we got 2 words for you. And he did not say suck it. He said family therapy. So it's going to be very interesting what they are going to be doing next week. Do I think this is a scenario of them breaking up Billy Gunn from the Acclaimed? Absolutely not. I think them breaking Billy Gunn away from the Acclaimed is an absolutely stupid decision. Why the hell would you want to break up, quote unquote, a trio, if you want to say? I don't know why. Why would you want to break up Daddy Ass if they're super over with the crowd right now? I think they're gonna come up with something interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, what does he really mean by family therapy? Is it going to be like a legit in-ring segment? We do not know. But things are looking very interesting in the world of the Acclaimed because everybody loves the Acclaimed and nobody likes the Guns. All right. We get a backstage interview with Hangman Page with Renee Paquette. Of course, Hangman Page is coming off his win over Jon Moxley last week in a fantastic match. And I loved the story. That they told in that match, of course. The main reason why Moxley and Hangman are feuding is because of the fact that Hangman, or I should say Moxley, knocked out Hangman, and they basically turned a real-life situation and turned it into a storyline. And now Hangman hit him with the buckshot lariat at the end of that match, and it looked like it knocked Jon Moxley out cold. So I love how Hangman is now the one giving out, quote-unquote, the concussions to Jon Moxley. So Jon Moxley is now getting his end of the favor. So he talks to Renee, and he says physically he feels fine. Jon took something from him and says that with this win over Mox, he has his word back. Mox says that he despises Moxley, but at the same time he cherishes Moxley, he cherishes him. Hangman understands the nature of wrestling, and he asks, what's next for Hangman? And says that it looks like he wants to mend some fences. Wink, wink. Well, he didn't really do a wink, wink, but he said mend some fences. What does that mean? Is he going to reunite with the Elite? Who knows? But it looks like, we are looking at a very interesting scenario right here when it comes to the Elite and Hangman Page, and I'm definitely interesting, in my opinion. Now, again, what is the direction that the Elite is going to be going at? Honestly, I have no idea. But, I always bring up the idea of CM Punk and bringing him back. When the whole media scrum thing happened, and I'm going to go a little bit off topic, I don't think this is going to lead to any CM Punk and FTR shit, but just hypothetically think about it. When the whole media scrum thing happened, we all hated CM Punk. And look, I know where I stood in the situation. I thought everybody was in the wrong. I thought Punk was in the wrong look, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself, but the fact that he did it in a public manner, Punk was definitely in the wrong in the moment because he talked all that shit. He basically buried the entire roster right next to his boss. It's Tony Khan's fault because he didn't do jack shit, and it's also the Elite's fault for bringing this whole situation into fruition. I think it's everybody's fault. Everybody has ups and downs. The best way to, make a solution out of this is make money off the fucking situation. Now, we all know Punk is injured, and we know that FTR is definitely, I believe they're taking 2 months off. I think that's the case. But again, man, hypothetically, think about it. The Elite versus CM FTR. Just think about that. That would be awesome, man. The AEW would, in my opinion, if that was the main event of any pay-per-view, that would top in pay-per-view buys All Out 2021. But again, ever since Punk, after the media scrum, everybody was talking shit about Punk and saying he's a cancer to the AEW locker room. But then all of a sudden, in my eyes, at least, in my opinion, I feel like I come to find out, and I think we all have to come to find out that I think there's two sides. I think there's one side that absolutely hates CM Punk and loves the Elite, and I think the other side absolutely loves CM Punk because you had people come out and say, hey, CM Punk definitely helped me. He was never a cancer to the locker room at all. So was CM Punk really a cancer to the locker room? It's a very interesting question to ask. But again, man, make money off the situation. When Punk comes back from an injury, in my eyes, now, do I think this will happen? No, But hey, never say never in this business. And honestly, I want it to happen. And if you have more and more people come out and say that CM Punk was never a quote-unquote cancer to the locker room, which I genuinely, I'm starting to believe he really wasn't a cancer in the locker room. But still, like, make money off this shit, man. Make money off this shit. If that doesn't happen, in my opinion, that'd be a big wasted opportunity. But that is just me. This whole mensum fences, it's not leading anywhere. I don't think this is going to lead to any CM Punk bullshit. But look, mensum fences, it's very interesting to see where that will lead to. We had Ricky Starks versus Jake Hager. Of course, this match was announced last week on Dynamite in a very terrible segment, in my opinion. I did not look. I like the JAS, and I'm a big fan of Ricky Starks, but Jesus Christ, that video, that promo segment was just bad. I did not like that promo segment at all. It was terrible. It was just something about it. There was just no. How do I say? Like, I felt like there was something off about that segment, in my opinion. But Jake Hager, of course, Jake Hager loves his hat, and that shit got super over with the crowd. This wasn't really that long of a match. Both lock up. Hager goes for repeated rights. He mocks Starks. He goes for a shoulder tackle. After that, we get a chop by Starks. Starks puts on the hat of Jake Hager. And Starks does his show off a little. He does his basically Undertaker old school type maneuver by walking on the top rope in a swagger fashion. Hager picks him up, but then Hager gets taken to the outside. Starks then goes for a sliding dropkick onto the outside. Hager then counters. He sends him to the post, followed by a big boot. After that, he sends Starks to the barricade. Once we're back from break, Starks is on the second rope. Hager then picks up Starks and he sets up the powerbomb. After that, a table is set up onto the outside, but then Starks goes for a dropkick on Jake Hager. And then Angelo Parker and Matt Menard come in, and we get a springboard crossbody. Clothesline by Starks, followed by a double boot. Then Jake Hager tries to go for the Hager bomb, but instead misses. Starks then later hits the DDT, and then we get a cover engineer fall. At this point, 2.0 are on the apron, and then Starks takes them out. At this point, Hager is distracted, but then Starks goes for the spear. We get a cover, and Ricky Starks wins the match. But then the JAS come in, but Starks runs to the crowd. So this feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society is not over yet. But hey, man, overall, great stuff overall. And I definitely see a future rematch, I should say, with Chris Jericho down the line, in my opinion, because Jericho and Ricky Starks had a banger of a match 2 weeks ago. We had Adam Cole, a video package of Adam Cole. Of course, Adam Cole made his return to AEW, and it's going to be great seeing Adam Cole now as a babyface. It looks like they're going to go full-fledged on a babyface run of Adam Cole. And let's see what they do with Adam Cole. I mean, I think it's time that we should start thinking about putting gold on Adam Cole now. Do I think that they should put the world title on Adam Cole? Yes, but not now. I mean, granted, Adam Cole is going to be in AEW for all the way until 2027. He's going to be an AEW World Champion, in the next couple years. But this year, I don't think so, considering the fact that, of course, AEW has long-term plans with MJF, and I think they're still trying to figure out who should beat MJF for that World Championship. I mean, put the fucking TNT title on Adam Cole, man. If you really want to bring the TNT title back to that level, where it once was when guys like Cody and Miro had it back in 2020, 2021, put the TNT championship on a guy like Adam Cole. It's the best decision that you can make, because I feel like, again, last year was the worst year of the TNT championship. The TNT title last year in 2022 was treated like absolute dog shit. I think it's time that we should think about putting that TNT title on Adam Cole. Not now, not immediately, because, of course, Darby just won that damn title. So he's going to be holding that title for a couple of months, but we should start thinking about putting that TNT title on Adam Cole. I think he will definitely make that title seem more important than it already is. I feel like now with Darby holding that TNT championship, the title is way more important than it was a year ago. Last year was in an absolutely shitty state. We got Chris Jericho backstage. They are pissed off. Starks has been beating them, And he requested a tag team match with Starks and Andretti next week on Dynamite. And Jericho, of course, will be tagging with Sammy Guevara, and he called them La Sex Gods, which is funny as fuck, of course, dating back to their days in the Inner Circle. After that, Garcia will wrestle Action Andretti this Friday on Rampage. It says Garcia wants to tag it with Jericho. And Sammy, for some reason, now, after Garcia said that, I thought Sammy was going to be pissed, but for some reason, Sammy Guevara was actually really happy, and he actually liked that idea. It says that if he beats Action Andretti on Rampage, he will replace Sammy in the tag team match next Wednesday. So that's going to be some interesting stuff right there. And our next match is the pure definition of a banger. And of course, I am talking about the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Bandido. Bandido, of course, recently signed to AEW a couple of months ago. Great fucking talent. If you haven't seen Bandido in action, I definitely recommend you to check him out. The match that he had against Chris Jericho for the ROH World title was absolutely freaking amazing. The match that he had with Jericho was off the charts, man, and it was definitely one of the in-ring highlights of Chris Jericho last year, because if there was one thing that you could say about Chris Jericho in the year 2022, this guy got in the best shape, and he had probably some of the best matches of his whole career. I mean, this man delivered fucking bangers. But we're not here to talk about Chris Jericho. We're here to talk about Bandido and his match against Bryan Danielson. Of course, we all know the stipulation. From now until February 8th, Bryan Danielson has to win all of his matches, and if he doesn't win all of his matches all the way up till February 8th, he will not become the number one contender for MJF in his AEW World Championship at the Revolution pay-per-view in San Francisco, March 8th. And, of course, if that match happens, which of course it will happen. I mean, it's wrestling. What do you expect? Of course it will happen. It's going to be a 1-hour Iron Man match, which I'm absolutely excited because, again, the story with MJF and Bryan Danielson is absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying MJF is the type of guy that gets cheap heat all the time, but if you really think about it, isn't that what all heels do? I don't understand the point of criticizing MJF because of the fact that he does quote-unquote cheap heat. You literally see every heel, not every heel, but like most heels in WWE do that type of shit all the fucking time. MJF is a great talent, and I've relatively have been enjoying his World Championship run, and I feel like everybody's going to stop talking shit after that 1-hour Iron Man match at Revolution March 5th. I guarantee you that. But we had Bryan Danielson versus Bandido. Again, fantastic match overall. This match was a certified banger. Great match. The spots in this match are fucking crazy. But let's dive deep into what happened in the match. Both shake hands. Both lock up. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention these two men are of course, former Ring of Honor World Champions. Just wanted to throw that out there. We get Bandido chance, so goes straight. Bandido's very over with the audience. Both lock up again. We get a side headlock takeover by Danielson. Danielson then works on the knee of Bandido. We get a roll-up by Danielson, followed by a near fall. Bandido goes for the drop toe hold, and Bandido is going for a Bryan Danielson maneuver, of course, that being the Romero special. But what happens? Danielson escapes, and Danielson himself tries to apply the Romero special on Bandido. But instead, when he puts both of his legs onto the back of the knees of Bandido, he stomps on both knees of Bandido. Bandido then goes for the double barrel shot. We get a shoulder tackle by Danielson, followed by a sunset flip by Danielson, but then Bandido catches him. Danielson gets up. We got a roll-up by Danielson, followed by a near fall. We get a couple of kicks by Danielson. After that, Bandido goes for the hip toss. After that, Bandido tries to apply the Nuto Le Granero. If I believe that's what Excalibur stated on commentary. I have no idea what that move was. My apologies. I completely mispronounced that. Danielson then escapes onto the outside. Bandido goes for a tope suicida. After that, Bandido goes for the somersault. Once we're back from break, Danielson goes for a couple of body shots. Bandido follows up by a roll-up, but then Bandido flattens Danielson face first to the mat. Danielson goes for the chop. Bandido goes for the chop, so both are exchanging chops. It's a Bryan Danielson special in every one of Bryan Danielson's matches, And that's a great thing. I don't mean that in the bad way. I mean that in a good way. We get an uppercut by Danielson. We get a couple of kicks by Danielson. Danielson then manages to land on his feet, and then he goes for the thrust kick on, he lands on his feet and lands into a thrust kick by Bandido. He goes to the top. Bandido looks like he went for the tornado off the top, but then Bandido picks up Danielson, and he hits the delayed vertical suplex. Now, Bandido looked like he had a little bit of trouble trying to pick up Bryan Danielson. But usually when Bandido does this type of move, he tends to hold up his opponent for a long amount of time, and you have the crowd literally just count. I believe, how many seconds did he hold up Jericho? What was it? Over 30 seconds? It was amazing to see that. But he hits that delayed vertical suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. Bandido then goes for the top. He goes for the frog splash, but it was countered by Danielson when Danielson gets the knees up. After that, Danielson applies the label lock, but then Danielson grabs the arm of Bandido. Looks like Bandido's about to tap, but he doesn't give up. He actually manages to get his foot onto the bottom rope. After that, Bandido, or I shouldn't say Bandido. Danielson, we get a couple of kicks by him. He goes for the yes kicks. So the funny thing is every time when Danielson goes for the yes kicks, the crowd is not usually saying yes. They're actually saying yes in Spanish. This is why I love AEW crowds so much, is because of the fact that they know what the hell is going on, and the crowds are not always dead. Like, if you watch an episode of Raw, the crowd is fucking dead all the time, man. The crowd are so into the... You know for a fact the crowd is into this match if they're saying yes in Spanish. They're constantly saying sí, sí, sí. I absolutely loved that. Bandido catches the boot of Danielson after that. Danielson then goes for a knee strike. Then after that, Bandido goes for the 21 suplex. After that, Danielson lands on his feet, but then Danielson goes for a roll-up, but we get another near fall. We get a drop toe hold again by Danielson. We get a roll-up by Bandido, and we get a near fall. We get a couple of body shots into the corner by Bandido, but then Bandido gets sent to the outside. Danielson then goes for a boot on the chest of Bandido. We get a knee strike on Danielson, or I should say by Danielson. Danielson then goes to the top, and then we get a right hand by Bandido. Both fight it out onto the top and second ropes, but then Bandido goes for the fall-away slam off the top, which looked absolutely amazing. So after that fall-away slam spot, Bandido manages to hit the 21 plex. We got a cover and a near fall. By the way, the 21 plex is fucking amazing. Danielson then fights back with an elbow strike. Bandido goes for a slap. Both manage to exchange slaps, and the crowd goes absolutely ballistic. We get a high kick by Bandido, but then Bandido manages to hit the thrust kick, followed by a brainbuster, but it was countered, and Danielson applies what it looks like is the cross arm breaker, but then Bandido picks him up, but then Danielson goes for the backslide, but then he breaks free. Danielson, all of a sudden, hits the Busaiku knee. After that, we get a cover, and Bryan Danielson wins the match. Great match overall, man. Bandido is a fantastic wrestler, and I think he's going to do great things in AEW. If there was any wrestler that I commend Tony Khan for signing, it is fucking Bandido, man. Bandido was a must-get for AEW, and I think he delivered 110% in this match against Bryan Danielson. Before I continue on, let me drink this nice little mug of water. And, of course, before I continue on with this Dynamite review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and, as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, so let's continue on with this Dynamite review. So, after the match, MJF is on the Titantron, or on the Tron, whatever you want to call it. He says that he hears everybody saying that he is not deserving of this position, but he calls fans fickle. He's been dealing with a masked himself. And he will find the further he will go on this journey, the more his mask will begin to slip off. Gee, I know for a fact that Danielson does not want that. Nobody does. He may think he is a dragon, but not even a dragon can slay a monster. I thought he was going to say devil for a second, but he didn't. Of course, because MJF is the devil. And then after that, it was announced that Bryan Danielson next week will face 1/3 of the Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, Brian Cage. Yes, the Machine, Brian Cage. And I absolutely really loved this segment. So Brian Cage is in a backstage interview. Of course, he is with Prince Nana from the embassy. And he says that it was announced that he will wrestle Danielson next week. And then MJF comes in, and he has an envelope full of fucking money. Of course, because it's MJF, and he loves giving money away to cronies to do his dirty work. That's what a heel does. He says it's more money than he will ever see in his life. He says that he doesn't care if he wins or he loses. He just wants him to break his arm. And then MJF slaps Brian Cage, and then Cage grabs MJF and he threatens him, and MJF looks so calm and saying, the money, do you want the money or not? Do you want the money or not? And you had Prince Nana trying to separate the two, saying, Brian, the money, Cage, the money. And after that, they get the money, or I should say MJF just gives immediately the money to Prince Nana. After that, MJF says, pleasure of doing business with you, and then MJF walks away. So it looks like the Brian Cage's hands are going to be full next week. I think it's going to be a great match overall. I believe, speaking of Brian Cage, I believe he did wrestle Willie Mack on Dark, and I heard that match was actually really good, and they're going to be wrestling this Friday on Rampage. I'm actually going to be watching their Dark match because I heard a lot of great things about that match. You guys do not know who Willie Mack is. Willie Mack is a fantastic wrestler. I believe he was in a tag team with Rich Swann and Impact, but he also dates back to Lucha Underground as well. But yeah, man, Bryan Danielson is going to be wrestling Brian Cage next week on Dynamite. We got Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. And the story about this match is the fact that at the end of this match, Toni Storm and Soraya turned heel. We all thought Kushida was going to be the one that turns heel, but instead, Soraya and Toni Storm were the ones that turned heel. Now, before this match even happened, there was a video package that showed Soraya just pissed off at Kushida, and you had Soraya and Toni Storm just talk shit about all of the homegrown talent in AEW, and says that, hey, all these homegrown people, they think that they know what they're doing, but they haven't been where we've been, and looks like they're kind of teasing a homegrown AEW women's feud versus the established women. I think that's what they're leading to, and you know what? Sign me up for that. But I'll talk about that later on after I get through with the match. Of course, Willow Nightingale is coming off a crazy fucking street fight, of course, against Ty Mello and Anna Jay. Ruby Soho was bloodied all up, as Jim Ross would say. She had a fucking crimson mask, but she did great. A lot of people were talking about that scary spot, of course, that powerbomb spot that Willow Nightingale hit on Anna Jay. Of course, it was a table spot on the stage, or I should say on the outside of the stage. And if you actually saw the match, Anna Jay actually did not land on the table. Willow did. It was a scary spot, but it looks like Anna Jay is okay, but that was a rough spot. I will say that. But let's get on with Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Both lock up. We got a side headlock takedown by Storm. We get a shoulder tackle by Storm. Willow then follows up with a shoulder tackle, followed by a roll up by Willow. We get a near fall. Willow goes for the side slam, followed by a crossbody. Storm then, at this point, has somewhat of an attitude over Willow Nightingale. We got a double axe handle by Storm. Shida then comes in with the ramp with a kendo stick. Once we're back from commercial break, Willow then goes for a kick on Storm. Willow goes for the spine buster after that. We got a cover engineer fall, but then Willow is up on the second rope. She managed to hit a drop kick, but then misses her cannonball attempt in the corner. And Storm, after she ducked the cannonball, she managed to hit the hip attack into the corner, followed by a DDT on Willow. We get a cover into near fall. Willow then goes for a roll up. Willow then goes for the pounce. Shout out to Monty Brown, by the way, on Toni Storm. We get a cannonball into the corner by Willow Nightingale, but then we get a cover by Willow and a near fall. At this point, Soraya is on the apron, and then Storm goes for the roll-up and wins the match. And then after the match, Soraya and Toni Storm attack Willow Nightingale, and then Ruby Soho comes in for the save. So, yeah, man, it looks like Soraya and Toni Storm were the ones that actually turned heel. Now, remember 2 weeks ago, when we all thought that Mercedes was going to show up last week and she ended up not showing up? Remember 2 weeks prior to that, or I should say a week prior to that, remember that backstage segment in which Soraya was saying, hey, I want to tag with Toni Storm, and then you had Hikaru Shida just have this not so happy look on her face. She was like, she looked definitely upset. We all assumed that Hikaru Shida was going to turn heel, but it looks like that is not going to be the case. I feel like what they are alluding to, since now Soraya and Toni Storm are now the heels, they are going to be doing a homegrown women or a homegrown versus established type feud with the women. And you know what? Sign me up. And do I still think Mercedes is going to be showing up in AEW? Yes, I do. But honestly, a lot of people are saying it's going to be at Revolution. That's my best bet as well. But could she be a part of this feud? Now, she is going to be wrestling Kairi Sane for the IWGP Women's Championship at Battle of the Valley this February. So we do not know what's going to happen. But what they're alluding to is definitely interesting. You know, I'm definitely interested to see what they're going to be doing in this feud. I hear a lot of people saying that we're probably going to get the first women's blood and guts match, which I'm definitely interested in seeing, to be quite honest. I'm definitely interested. And let's see where they go in the next couple of weeks with this heel turn with Soraya and Toni Storm. It's very interesting that Ruby Soho came for the save because let's be honest, Ruby Soho was also an established woman. She came from the WWE. Now, granted, was she pushed in the WWE? Not really. But, hey, Ruby Soho did come from the WWE, so do you think this may be a swerve in the near future? We may not know. I may be just pulling shit out of my ass just to say shit. But, again, it's a feud that's definitely interesting, and you know what? I hope I get invested. I hope I can get invested. If there's one thing I will say about the women's division is I feel like it's getting better. Now, do I still think that the TV time with the women should be more used? I think that the women need more TV time. That's just my opinion. I know they only have 3 hours of legit television, but again, I feel like they need to put more TV time with the women. If you think about it, you know, say what you want about the women's division in WWE, especially on the SmackDown side, but hey, at least they utilize, you know, they don't utilize well, but at least they put their women on television. We get a backstage interview with Konosuke Takeshita. Talks about how Bryan Danielson is his hero. He learned so much from him. Says that he will have his back. Says that he does not trust MJF. Takeshita speaks in Japanese. And then Renee Paquette asks Takeshita, oh, what did you mean? And he says, oh yeah, I said MJF is an asshole. Funny shit by Takeshita, man. Put the All-Atlantic title on this dude. I guarantee you this guy will solidify that All-Atlantic title and make it more important. This guy is fantastic at what he does. I don't give a shit what anybody fucking says. Takeshita's the man, okay? Takeshita's the man. All right. We got Darby Allin versus Kushida for the TNT Championship. I'm going to go quick on this because it's almost been an hour that I have been doing this Dynamite review, which is crazy to think. And it's only a 2-hour show. Usually I tend to be very long with the Raw review. I'm still contemplating whether I should continue Raw reviews, considering the fact that the show is just 3 hours long and like in the middle of the show, like there's just not a lot of important shit that is happening on the shows. But that is just my opinion. But we got Darby Allin versus Kushida for the TNT Championship. And let me tell you, this match, once again, as Sheamus would state every Friday night on SmackDown along with the Brawling Brutes, was a fucking banker. Kushida took Darby Allin to the fucking limit. And I mean that wholeheartedly. This man was targeting the arm of Darby Allin like I have never seen. Darby Allin's the type of wrestler that always tends to, you know, take a lot of risks. I'll say that. He takes a lot of risks. But Jesus Christ, the pain that Darby Allin took in this fucking match by Kushida. There's a small chance that I actually thought, oh my God, Kushida's actually going to beat Darby Allin. But that wasn't the case. But overall, great match. Great match. Kushida looked fucking great. Darby Allin is being Darby Allin. Sting, of course, was in the corner. Great match overall. Let's go for a couple of notes on the match, and then we're gonna be through with this. We're gonna be done with this review. So both lock up. We get a waist lock by Darby. He goes for the side headlock. We go for the shoulder tackle. We get a cover and then 1 count. Darby then tries to apply the armbar, but then Kushida reverses. And we get a hip toss followed by a beautiful drop kick by Kushida. On the outside, Darby sends Kushida onto the barricade, but once we're back in the ring, Kushida kicks the arm of Darby Allin. At this point, Kushida is in control. He continues to work onto the shoulder of Darby Allin. But then we get a chop by Kushida into the corner, followed by a coffin splash. Then he tries to go for it again, but then Kushida goes for the rolling elbow. We get a combination of strikes by Darby, followed by a beautiful Code Red, which is basically a Canadian destroyer. After that, we get a cover and a near fall. Darby then goes to the top rope and hits a cannonball onto the wrestlers from the LA Dojo that were coming to the ring with Kushida. Kushida then applies the cross arm breaker and drives Darby Allin onto the floor. Once we're back from commercial break, both Darby and Kushida exchange shots. Darby, we get a crossbody by Kushida followed by a Pele kick. Darby catches Kushida and hits a scorpion death drop. After that, we get repeated slaps by Darby. Kushida then goes for looks like an upside down kick on Darby. At this point, Darby is on the outside. And then he drives his knee onto the shoulder of Darby Allin, which looked painful as fuck. Darby and Kushida fight on the apron. Then after that, Darby goes for a stunner on Kushida onto the apron. At this point, Darby sets up a chair. And it looks like, when he first grabbed the chair, there's a lot of people were like, oh shit, what is Darby going to do? Is he going to take the easy way out? But no, that was not the case. He just set it up on the outside. Darby fights off Kushida, but then Kushida sits him down. Darby goes for the top, and he lands on Kushida. So this spot was fucking crazy. So Kushida, he caught Darby after he did that jumping spot off the top rope, landing on the outside. He catches Darby Allin and applies a fucking cross arm breaker on Darby. If that is not sick, I don't know what is. That was absolutely crazy. Darby goes back in the ring, but then Kushida continues to work onto the arm of Darby Allin. Then Kushida then drops Darby with his arm off the top, which looked absolutely brutal. He applies the hoverboard lock. Then the LA Dojo wrestlers offer the towel to Sting. They want him to throw the towel in, which will basically mean if he throws the towel, then Darby loses the match. Sting throws the towel to the crowd, but then Darby escapes and then rolls him up. He wins the match, and Darby Allin retains the TNT Championship. Overall thoughts on this match? Great match overall. Kushida looked great. Once again, Kushida definitely put the limit. He took Darby Allin to the limit, and Darby Allin went absolutely fucking crazy on Kushida, and vice versa. If anything, Kushida went all out on Darby Allin, especially targeting that shoulder of his. I mean, Darby Allin got absolutely brutalized, but he still won retained, I should say, the TNT title. But, yeah, man, that was a great match overall. Overall, Dynamite was a great show. Was it the best show that AEW has put out? No, it wasn't. But, a lot of people really weren't on the wanting to watch Wrestling Mindset when this show aired. Rightfully so, of course, because of the news of Jay Briscoe. Yeah, man, overall, I thought Dynamite was great. I mean, we got 3 fucking bangers on this card, man. We had 3 freaking bangers on this card, and I'm definitely excited where AEW is going to take us the next week. But, yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from January 18th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Rick from the Wrestle Havoc podcast, signing out.